Hi everyone, welcome to Allie and You, the business, success, and lifestyle show. I'm Allison Maslin, my friends call me Allie, and today we have a fantastic show. I'm so excited. So listen to this. Since 2012, John Lee Dumas has interviewed over 1,200 of the world's most savvy entrepreneurs that have shared their journey on his highly ranked, highly acclaimed podcast, EOFire, which I was on. I'm going to be on here pretty soon. I'm excited about the knowledge bombs that are routinely dropped by these entrepreneurs, the who's who of the savviest entrepreneurs, such as Barbara Corcoran, Tim Ferris, have resonated worldwide. And his episodes, listen to this, in 2015 alone, have been downloaded more than 12 million times in 145 countries. That is impressive. Well, today we have John Lee Dumas.
Allie, I am fired up to be here, and you're right, you are an upcoming guest of EOFire. We had a great interview.
Yes.
You're coming up later in the month, and I can't wait for you to rock Fire Nation.
I can't wait. That was so much fun. I'm really glad that I got to experience that. And we actually met because you and I are on this documentary, Inspired by 11, that was produced by Serious Take Productions, our friend Tamara. And that was so much fun to see it up on the big screen. And so, I really feel there is nothing better than being able to share your passions with the world, which is what you do day in and day out on your podcast, EOFire. But I know that you didn't start just, all of a sudden, it's like that overnight success story. So let's go back a little bit. I mean, did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
I love this question for a lot of reasons, and one of my favorite quotes is, I was an overnight success 10 years in the making. I mean, that just is so often the case. And I think it's a really important question, like, did I always want to be an entrepreneur, or was I always an entrepreneur? And the answer is absolutely no. And I think that's so important to get out there, because so many people think that because they weren't born to be an entrepreneur, because they didn't have that entrepreneurial spirit as a child, that they weren't meant to be an entrepreneur. And that just isn't the case, Allie. I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk loves to rant about how as a kid he was making thousands of dollars on the weekend selling baseball cards. As a kid, I would mow one lawn for $20. My neighbor across the yard would say, hey, mow my lawn too. And I'm like, no, all I need is $20 for the day. I don't need to mow any more lawns. Right. I'm good. I can take my girlfriend to a movie. That's it. No mas. And that was me all the way up till 32 years old. I was always doing what I had to do, but no more. I wasn't an entrepreneur. I was very traditionalist. Army, law school, corporate finance, commercial real estate, very traditional, no major successes, a couple major failures though, but no major successes. And it wasn't until I was 32 that I had my aha moment for EOFire. That was 4 years ago now. That was 1,300 episodes ago. That was 30 million listens ago. And now I've built a business around entrepreneurship. So whether you're 20, 30, 50, 70, and you have or haven't started your entrepreneurial thing yet, it's never too late. It's finding the right thing. And that's what we can have a great chat about today.
Well, I love that. And I love that you said, and by example, it's not like you were born into an entrepreneurial family, which is the route that I took. But, I think that we have different phases in our life, right? And so, and I embrace the failures. I call that research and development. So that wisdom you can definitely apply. So what, let's go back. I mean, when you were earlier, were there some passions where you said, this is what I want to do with my life?
No. So, I mean,
okay. All right, great.
It's the thing about me growing up. I was just always like, I like sports. Like, that'll be fun. Like, I like this, I like that, but I was never passionate about anything. And I always kind of thought that there was something kind of missing in my life. Like, I always questioned is there something wrong with me? Like, I see these people, of course, Tony Robbins has been all over TV for decades now. And you just see him talking about passion and just being on fire when he's on stage. And I was like, man, is that normal, or am I just abnormal? I didn't get it. And so I didn't have that passion. I never had passions growing up. And again, it wasn't really until I was 32 that I said, wow, this is something I can sink my teeth into. I can commit myself fully. I can pour my heart. I can pour my soul into. And I think that's okay, because we don't all stumble across that thing at 13 or at 19 or at 23. Like, sometimes it takes a little longer for us to do that. And it was kind of strange. Last week, actually, I interviewed Tony Robbins, and it was the first time in 1,300 episodes I've gotten the chance to speak with him one-on-one. And it was kind of this surreal moment. Like, it took me back to when I was just a kid watching Shallow Hal, this movie that he was in, where he was talking about being, you need to be on fire, like, you need to be inspired. And like, I was like, this guy's intense. But like, now I feel like him when I'm talking about things that I love. But again, it took me 32 plus years to get there.
Right. You really just had to evolve that. So, and I think that's really a great point that you do say that, because I know a lot of people struggle. And in college, for instance, there are no courses on how to find your passion. And I think people get into something because, they want something that they're going to make a lot of money. And so they're using their head to make that decision. And then years go by and they're like, wait a minute, I hate this.
Hate it.
Yeah. So what was it at 32 for you? Like, tell us the story.
Well, let me tell you the story, and let me actually address the viewers here for a second, because this is so important to me. Like, at 32 years old, I heard this quote by Albert Einstein, and this quote just inspired the crap out of me. And the crazy thing is that I had heard this quote many times before, but I had never listened to the meaning of the quotes. And until I actually listened, it never made any sense to me. But there I was, 32 years old, starting to have an idea about what I wanted to do with my life. And this quote by Albert Einstein just kind of knocked me out. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And the quote is, try not to become a person of success, but rather become a person of value. So let me say that one more time. Try not to become a person of success, but rather become a person of value. And looking back at my journey, Allie, I had tried from the moment I graduated college to chase success. I went into the Army because I thought that was the right thing to do as an officer and serve my country. And I'm very proud that I did that.
Right.
And I'll never regret any of those 4 years. And they were powerful. But then getting out of the military, I was like, okay, now it's time to get serious about life and follow that traditional path. So I went into law school because I thought it was what successful people did, and I failed. And I quit after one semester. So I tried corporate finance because that's what I thought successful people did, and I quit after 18 months. I tried commercial real estate because that's what successful people did. And then there I was after 6 years of unhappiness and failure, 32 years old, hearing that quote really for the first time, saying, man, I have been chasing success all of these years, finding no success and no happiness. What am I doing? Why don't I listen to this quote and become a person of value first? And to me, that's what EOFire became. That was a value first proposition. Let me deliver a free, valuable, and consistent podcast 7 days a week. And I have a secret for you, Allie, that's not that much of a secret. I was a really bad podcaster for a really long time. I had never interviewed anybody before. I had never hosted a podcast before. I was amateur hour all the way. But guess what? I wanted to be a podcaster, so I had to podcast. When I interviewed you for episode 1285, of course I was a great podcaster. I had been doing it for 10,000 hours.
You had a little practice.
A little practice there. But back at episode 12 or episode 85, I was crappy. I stunk, and I realized it. Luckily, I was able to bring guests on, like Seth Godin, Tim Ferris, Gary Vaynerchuk, who were amazing, and they could bring value in the episode. And even though I couldn't, but going back to the core, I knew that if I just focused on delivering value, creating value, the success would follow. And so it didn't come overnight. It took me over 9 months to turn my first dollar out of EOFire. But here we are, 2015, we did over $4.5 million in revenue. We're gonna be doing more in 2016. And it's just been a great business that we've created off of delivering value first.
Right. And so that is such a great message, is back up. How can you just give value and stop worrying about the success and know the success is going to come? Because 4 million in revenue, when you're focused on giving value, because that's really all we want to do anyway.
And that was my third year in business, though. It didn't come the first year. It didn't come the second year. But by my third year of just creating value for so long, that's when the revenue really started coming in the door.
Right, but here's the thing. That's podcasting every single day.
Right.
Getting guests, organizing logistics, studying, right? And that means there were 2 of the years that I'm sure it was like, okay, you know, money's not coming in, but you stayed with it.
Mm-hmm.
So many times, because you know, I work with entrepreneurs to grow their business. After 2 or 3 months, it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing this and it's not generating any revenue, and fear jumps in and they are impulsive and jump onto something else. What was that in you that stick to it? What part of that personality, your personality, the personality you owned, did you apply?
Well, let me again address the viewers. I really want to make a point here. Is like this entrepreneurship, this journey that you've chosen, that you're on right now. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. You have to get into the right mindset from the very beginning and be in this for the marathon. So to kind of, directly address your question, which I think is a phenomenal one, I really look back to my military days where, we had to train for hours and months and even years at times for sometimes what amounted to just minutes of action. But that years of training can save your life because now you know how to react when the mortar rounds come in, when the bullets start flying, whatever that might be. And that might sound dramatic, but it's not, because that happened in my life. I mean, I was in Iraq for 13 months. I had a platoon of 16 men, 4 tanks, and I returned with only 12 of my men. Like 4 of my soldiers gave the ultimate sacrifice. Like it was a very intense 13 months for a 23, 24-year-old that I was. So I realized that the actual buildup and the patience, and I love the word delayed gratification. It's so important that you are willing to work now for later success.
Right.
And there's actually a great study, I won't go into super detail about it, but it's a study where back in the 50s and 60s, they had these kids who were very hungry, and they would take them into a room with a marshmallow on the table, and they say, if you don't eat that, when I come back in 15 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 marshmallows. And only 10% of the kids, of thousands that they did this to, were able to not eat that marshmallow. And over the next 30 and 40 years, they tracked those. And the 10% did outrageously better in life as adults from that one study as a kid, because they were able to delay gratification for future benefits. So going back to the sprint and the marathon, like this is a marathon. Like you got to look at it like that. I was willing to put in the work for a significant amount of time, knowing that if I did, I'd hit that tipping point and then things would start. Tony Robbins would reach out to me to be on my podcast. Gary Vaynerchuk, every time he launches a book. Tim Ferris just released a great post on how he crushed his podcasting.
I saw that.
And he names me as one of the few people that guided him in that way.
Yeah.
So like that is what's happened from a guy that, back in 2012, didn't even have a Twitter or Facebook account because I had nothing in that area. But I said, okay, now's the time. Let's podcast. Let's be unique. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. And I think that your military background, I'm sure, served you in so many ways. The discipline that you had to learn, right? I mean, to show up every time and show up on time and work hard. And I mean, all of the things that it takes in business, because there's never, I've been running business for over 30 years, and there isn't like, you can't call in sick, and you don't think about it. Am I doing this or am I not doing it? You're doing it. It's all on you. And it's, similar in the military as well.
So true. We had a saying in the military that we get more stuff done before 9 a.m. than the rest of the world does all day. And I hope I don't offend anybody, but I want you to know I get more stuff done before 9 a.m. than you do all day. And just deal with it. That's just how it is. And you can probably catch up, but right now that's probably the case.
Probably the case. Probably even more than me. So
I was talking to them, not you, Allison.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. And I was thinking that maybe I'm successful because I don't like marshmallows. So
you'd be like, I don't want to eat that anyways.
I don't like it.
Keep your 3 marshmallows.
I lucked out. So there are some of the viewers here that they're saying, I want to do that too. I would love to have a podcast. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to do it. If you could just kind of step back a little bit and say, all right, these are the, if you're going to follow this path, these are the 3 things or the 5 things that you absolutely have to do.
So
could you share that?
I would love to. And let me just kind of start off by saying, like, I have built my business off of giving free, valuable, and consistent content. Like, I've built my entire business off of that. So I want to continue doing that today. So the first thing I would say, if anybody is really interested in podcasting, there's a killer resource that I've created, 100% free. That's a complete step-by-step on how to podcast, freepodcastcourse.com.
Okay.
So you visit that site, you can sign up for this course, all the tutorials. It's a complete A to Z course. Like, you'll be good to go.
freepodcastcourse.com.
That's it.
Okay.
So simple, completely free, and it's everything you need to know. But I'll kind of step back and pull like 3 things that are really important from within that I really want to talk about. Number 1, you have to have the right topic when you start. So a lot of people say, oh, John Lee Dumas is a successful podcaster, and this is what he podcasted about. I'm just going to copy that. Now, we're all standing up on the shoulders of giants, but we can't copy and mimic exactly. We need to find our own voice, our own unique value, distinguisher that's going to bring us out. So your topic is very important. It has to speak to you and through you. So I'm a big believer, number 1, in finding the zone of genius. And there's a great book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. He talks in depth about this. I had him on the show. He's an amazing guy.
Really?
I love the connection. And the zone of genius for me when it comes to podcasting is where your passions overlap with your expertise. So you've been building an immense amount of skills, Allie, for years and years. And you also have passions and things that you're fired up and excited about. When you can find the intersection where they overlap, there's going to be a bunch of them. But your zone of genius lies in that overlap. It doesn't just lie in the space where you're just passionate or the space that you just have skills. It's in the overlap. So somewhere in there, your podcast topic lives. So you just need to understand that and find that.
I love that.
So that's so important. Number 2, your avatar is so critical. And your avatar is your one perfect listener. All the time, Allie, when we have Podcasters Paradise, which is my podcasting premium community that I run, we have this one course that says, share with us your avatar. So people will write in their avatar and they'll send it in to us. Like, you're one perfect listener. We're very clear. And they'll say, oh, my avatar are females between the ages of 14 and 44 that live in the Midwest, that want to go to nursing or whatever it is. And I'll be like, when's the last time you've had a conversation with a 14-year-old girl?
Right.
And then another conversation with a 44-year-old woman. Those are wildly different conversations.
Yes.
So it's good to have a targeted demographic, but that is not an avatar. An avatar is one perfect listener.
Right.
So I won't go into super detail about who my avatar is, because I could. I've written over 2,500 words just about him, so I know him inside and out. But my avatar is Jimmy. He's 36 years old. He has a wife and 2 kids, ages 3 and 5. He drives to work by himself every single day. It's a 25-minute commute to work. He hates his job. He commutes home. He gets stuck in traffic, so it's a 32-minute commute home. He gets home. He plays with his kids. He has dinner with his family. He puts his kids to bed. And then he hangs out at the end of the day, and he says, why do I spend 90% of my waking hours doing things I don't enjoy doing and 10% doing what I love, spending time with my kids and my family? Jimmy is my avatar. And again, I could go on about him forever.
But hopefully after listening to a few episodes, he's gotten rid of that job that he hates, right?
Well, that's why he's my avatar, because every morning he needs to be listening to EOFire when he's driving to work. So he's hearing my guests like you share your worst entrepreneurial moment and your lessons learned. And when he's driving home, he needs to listen to my episodes with the aha moments and how they turned the idea into success, so we can understand what it looks like to become a success. And then instead of having a little pity party for himself at home on the couch at night by himself, he's actually listening to my lightning rounds, where people like yourself are sharing the best advice you've ever had, your favorite resource, your best book, the $500 question, etc. So Jimmy's my avatar, so I know exactly who he is. So anytime I come to any fork in the road, I just say WWJD. What would Jimmy do? And that's my answer to every single fork in the road. I don't put the weight of the shoulders on me, the podcast host, to make those decisions.
Right.
Because I'm not the perfect listener. I'm the host of the podcast.
Right.
So I go to my perfect listener. He makes the decisions, and he knows all of them because I gave him all the knowledge that he has.
Right.
And we're off to the races.
And that's really with any business. I mean, you always need to, so if you have a retail store, you need to buy merchandise that the customers would want, not necessarily what you would want.
Exactly.
So.
Because if you are creating a store filled with what you would want, and you're just different than 99% of people that are coming in your door, you're going to fail. It's just a reality.
Right. You'll be the only one using the merchandise.
So the third and final thing that I'll
Okay.
just brush over, and again, we go into in-depth in the free podcast course, is equipment. All you need is a computer, a microphone, and recording and editing software. Those three things, nothing more. So for a computer, again, it could be anything. It could be a tablet, it could be a laptop, a desktop. For a microphone, I highly recommend, my number one recommendation is called the ATR 2100. It's a dynamic microphone, USB, it'll plug right into your USB port. It's $60 on Amazon. Prime shipping, it'll be at your doorstep in 2 days. ATR 2100. Just type it in the search bar on Amazon.
Okay.
$60. It's the best microphone you can get, cost and quality combined.
Right.
And then recording and editing software. There's really three options, and this is where you record and edit your podcast all in one place. Adobe Audition's amazing for Mac and PC. It is $20 a month. Audacity, completely free, but it's for Mac and PC as well. And then there's GarageBand, which comes pre-installed on all Macs.
Right.
So that's all you need to know, and you can literally be sharing your voice, your message, your mission with the world.
That's so exciting. What's that message? Are you ready to share that with the world and follow in the footsteps of the genius here himself? And we are going to do a contest here in a second, because we want to give away John's beautiful Freedom Journal. So stay with us, because we're going to ask some questions. We've got a couple books to give away. And I was looking through this myself, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to start using this thing. I absolutely love it. So why don't you share a little bit about this? What was the inspiration for it? And yeah, love to hear it.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share this, because this was my passion project for an entire year. So early 2015, I went to my audience and I said, what are you struggling with, Fire Nation, which is what I call my audience. And overwhelmingly, they came back and they said, John, like, we see that your guests know how to set and accomplish goals, but we struggle with that. How do you set and accomplish goals in an effective manner? So I said, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to create the bridge to this solution. Like, I'm going to bridge that gap. But I didn't want to just do it with a PDF or with an app that could be easily modified or just kind of hidden, like, on your computer. Like, I wanted it to be something like of substance that would be like on your desk or on your nightstand, or you'd pull it out of your book bag at Starbucks and you'd be like proud to hold it, like something that was worthy of your number one goal. Like, I want it to feel like people to feel like this is worthy of their number one goal.
And I love that. I like to hold a book in my hand, and especially a journal, to be able to, there's something energetically when you're writing with a pen.
Right.
More than when you're typing on the computer.
Both consciously and subconsciously, like what flows from your mind through your hands onto paper, it makes it real. Yeah. Nothing against typing. I type my fingers off every single day, but something about writing and bringing it back to the core will always be incredibly special. So I spent a year, literally 2015, crafting, creating, editing, just adjusting what I now consider the perfect goal accomplishing journal. And what the Freedom Journal is setting and accomplishing your number one goal in 100 days. So it's a very specific journal for very specific points. There's a lot of journals out there that I love. But one thing that I realized when I was journaling, I'm like, this is beneficial to me, this journaling, but it's just, I'm not getting anywhere. Like, I'm doing the same thing every day, which is fine, and that was helpful, but I am a very goal-oriented person. So the Freedom Journal is not only fulfilling a need that I have, but I could just see, and I got the feedback from my audience that they were having the same problem. So the Freedom Journal starts off by teaching you how to set a SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bounds. So there's 5 attributes to a SMART goal, and you have to hit every single one if you are really going to set a goal that's worthy and worthwhile accomplishing. So we teach you how to set that SMART goal. And then we guide you in a very unique step-by-step process over the next 100 days in the accomplishment of that goal. Now, you will accomplish your number one goal in 100 days if you follow this process, period. It is an absolute JLD guarantee. It's going to happen. We have 10-day sprints. So every 10 days, you're accomplishing a micro goal that's getting you 10% closer to your overall goal. Every 25 days, you're doing a quarterly review where you're looking back and really identifying what went wrong in the previous 25 days so you can adjust and pivot, but also what went right so you can amplify what went right. And then every day and every night you have specific tasks that you are completing within this so that you, over 100 days, accomplishing your number one goal, period. We set records in Kickstarter. We launched it on January 4th. It became the 6th most funded Kickstarter campaign of all time in the publishing category. We have sold now over 11,500 journals to date. And we just continue to have an absolute blast. And the home for the Freedom Journal is just thefreedomjournal.com. And I want to be really clear about one thing, because you talked about how like it is a very beautiful and like leather. Yeah. It's faux leather. Like, I'm an animal lover. Like, I was insistent that this was going to be a faux leather, gold embossed, beautiful journal. And I just wanted it to be something that people could be proud of. That they could have on their desk and be like, oh, like, what is that? And they're saying, well, this holds my number one goal.
I love it because you say, you're talking about the wonderful things that happen, then what you struggled with, but then what are the solutions for the struggle? Mm-hmm. Let's not stay in the struggle. Let's figure out what the solution is so then we can move on.
Exactly.
Right? And then you can learn from it. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's great. And I always say entrepreneurs struggle with this disease called EADD, which is entrepreneurial ADD. And this is the medicine. So let's give a couple of these away. And let me get onto the chat here a second. Just rebooting here, and we're going to ask some trivia questions. And I'm going to let you ask the first question.
Sure.
All right. So here's the deal. Get ready, because the first person that answers this question is going to win John Lee Dumas, the Freedom Journal. So,
question number one. I am a podcaster, so it's going to be a podcasting swayed question. What is the largest podcast directory in the world? In other words, where are most podcasts listened to? What directory holds and contains the most podcasts in the world? It's one simple answer, and the first person to answer correctly is going to get a Freedom Journal. Maybe we'll even open these up and I'll sign it, and then we'll ship it on off to you. So that could be pretty cool.
Yeah. So
the largest podcasting directory in the world.
Okay, having a little bit of a challenge here. Hold on.
You might have to do the 2-finger split.
There Yeah, I'm having a little trouble here seeing it, but we'll be able to tell who is the winner here by going back on there and seeing.
She just wants to give it away to her mother.
Can you all see it? I got my team here. Who's the first person that answers the question? What's their name?
I'm Judy Ferris.
Judy! All right, Judy. Woohoo! All right.
Or the streamers coming down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we are going to give another viewer a chance to win John's book in just a second. I'm going to go on with the interview here. So besides the journal, which we know is phenomenal, what are some other rituals that you have?
So I'm a huge believer in meditation. And I'm not good at meditating, but I like to do it daily, and I'm getting better because I'm using the right tools. I actually interviewed the founder of this company called Muse, M-U-S-E, and it's literally a little, kind of looks like a little headband that kind of hooks around your ears, and it will measure your brain waves as you're meditating. And there's little speakers that hook right over your ears, so as you're meditating, you're hearing the waves crash against the ocean nice and softly. But then as your mind starts to wander and your thoughts get too busy, then lightning and thunder will come, and like you'll hear rain coming, and you'll be like, okay, gotta focus again. Like you'll hear it, and then when you really get into the flow, you'll start to hear birds tweeting, and you're like, wow,
that is incredible.
So it's called
picking up the energy,
the brainwaves.
That is so amazing. I've
Yeah.
got to get one of those
It's
because
called
mine would be
Muse.
crashing all the time.
Yeah, but you recognize
Yeah.
it, and then you're able to train your brain. Because a lot of people struggle because they just try to meditate with no help, and they don't really know what they're doing. They have no guidance, and so they just spend basically 15 minutes just having all these crazy thoughts and thinking they're meditating. This forces you to get into the flow.
Right.
And I'm still a beginner, but I'm getting better.
Yeah, I've got to get one of those. That's fantastic. So, in all of the things that you've achieved, which are quite a few in your young life,
Not that young.
so what are you most proud of?
I will say this. With the Freedom Journal, we'd already achieved a lot of financial success in my business prior to the launch of this. And with the size of my audience, I was pretty convinced that this is going to be a financial success. I mean, getting to $453,000 in 33 days, it did exceed my expectations, but I did have big expectations. Like we were thinking somewhere between $250,000 to $300,000 we would generate with this. So like going into that and knowing that that was our goal, I didn't just want this to become like another revenue stream for EOFire.
Right.
I wanted to make it even more special. So I contacted a good friend of mine. His name's Adam Braun, and he runs the company called Pencils of Promise.
Yeah.
And what Pencils of Promise does is they build schools in developing countries for $25,000. So you write a check for $25,000, your check is building from soup to nuts a school in a developing country that will be there for generations to come, giving the gift of education. So we partnered up, the Freedom Journal, EOFire, and Pencils of Promise partnered up, and we launched this essentially together. And every time we hit a funding goal with the Freedom Journal, I wrote another check for $25,000 on behalf of the backers to Pencils of Promise to build a school in a developing country. And over the course of the campaign, we've built 3 schools.
That is
which
so
is
fantastic.
so exciting. Like 2 are going to be in Ghana, 1's going to be in Guatemala, and it's dedicated to the backers of the Freedom Journal. So everybody that purchased the Freedom Journal during the campaign has contributed to the building of those schools. And every single person that purchases the Freedom Journal from this day forward, a portion of every single sale is going to build more schools in developing countries. So what I'm really proud of is that I can look people in the eye and say, like, listen, give yourself the gift of accomplishing your number one goal in 100 days. And like, you deserve that gift.
Right.
And you're also giving the gift simultaneously of education to those less fortunate.
Right.
Like, I love that combination. It's really moving from success to significance, which is the move that I wanted to make. And we were able to accomplish that with the Freedom Journal.
That's beautiful. A perfect example of conscious capitalism. And I've heard about Adam's story and all that he's doing.
Cool.
So with Pencils of Promise.
Beautiful organization.
It really is. So what is ahead for you? What is on your bucket list? I know we were talking earlier about some big news and some exciting things.
Definitely.
So,
well, what's really ahead for us is to continue to recognize what's working within EOFire, and that's a lot. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start to achieve success, they start to lose sight of what got them there. So we do a big kind of accountability, and we look back over what's really working, and we amplify those successes. And we've introduced some things over the past couple of years that frankly have kind of stopped working or never really picked up steam. And we definitely prune those things pretty quickly so that we can spend our time, energy, and effort focusing on our successes. Podcasters Paradise, which is our podcasting membership community. We have over 2,800 members. We've done over $3.5 million in revenue in the past 2 years. Like, that's a massive success. We're focusing on that. The Freedom Journal, it did $453,000 in just 30 days, and it's continuing to do, thousands of dollars of sales every day now that we've opened the doors at thefreedomjournal.com. It's continuing to be a massive success. My podcast, now my presence on Snapchat. Like, we're identifying the things that are really working for our business, and we're amplifying those. So I think
that's the Pareto's principle.
Yes,
right?
The 80-20.
The 80-20. Really look at, because so many entrepreneurs are spread too thin.
Way too thin.
Right? And so try some things, do more of what's working, drop what's not.
Right. 20% of your actions are producing 80% of your desired results. When you recognize that, like, why are you doing the other 80% of crap that is not part of your 20%? You can take that time back, meditate, start exercising, do other things, focus on your trapeze, amazing stuff. One thing that you kind of alluded to a little bit is we actually are on the brink of a massive move. So Kate and I have been in San Diego since 2009. We did do a 2-year stint in my home state of Maine during these last 7 years, but we've been in San Diego for a lot of these past 7 years. And we're officially moving to Puerto Rico on May 1st. Every time I pronounce it like on publicly or on Snapchat, I always have a Puerto Rican.
You've got the nice R, rolling the R.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there because I would just say Puerto Rico, and they're like, no. This is how you say Puerto Rico. Oh, you got even a little hip swing.
Yeah.
There. Pretty good. So we're moving there on May 1st. That's a new adventure, new chapter in our life, which we're very excited about. We get a nice Airbnb for the first couple months, and we'll explore the island and find a more permanent home for the rest of the year.
And hey, this is the benefit of being an entrepreneur, and especially in the type of business that you have, you can really be anywhere.
Yes.
I mean, if there's good internet.
It's got to be good internet.
That's the crucial thing.
We are location independent entrepreneurs, but we do rely on solid and fairly fast internet.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Our grandkids will laugh at us and be like, what? Like, you can't just be anywhere in the world, because Google Blimps will be like hanging out above us, just giving us 1,000 download, 100 upload speed for free.
I know.
But until that day, we're still struggling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll be the olden days for them. But I'm bummed that you're leaving San Diego. But
It's
gosh,
sad.
I'll just have to come visit you in Puerto Rico.
Hey, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, plenty of room.
Well, we will definitely be there. But let's give another Freedom Journal away. And so the trivia question is, and so Jared, I'm going to have you follow this because you'll be better than I will with it. How many recipes did oh my gosh, now I can't remember his name, from Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders, did he bomb at before he came with the successful recipe that still runs today, that's so healthy?
So healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go have some mashed potatoes after this. All right. So, we got, I know there's a tiny little delay here.
I'm sure there's a lot of 7s.
Dun, dun, dun.
But what's the right
Do you have
answer?
an answer?
You have to, does he know what the right answer is?
I think he does know the answer.
Because what my answer was not the right answer.
Do you know the answer? Oh, well, that's not good.
You can say it out loud then.
All right. Are there answers
I
that come?
see 7s.
7s? No, it was a lot more than 7.
I tricked you.
What are some of the answers?
Just I just seeing everyone's writing 7.
Oh, come on,
That's my
people.
fault.
Let's get a little more creative than that. He was totally guessing.
I really was.
Come on, one more chance here.
I feel
I'll
like
give you
there's a thing
5
called
more seconds.
Google that you guys could probably be
I
checking
know,
out
really.
right now.
I'll let you know if it comes in.
All right. Well, let's give everybody just another second or two while I ask you this. So, as we kind of sign off, this has just been so much
It's been a
fun.
blast.
What are some words of wisdom, your brightest words of wisdom that you could share with our viewers?
Well, that Albert Einstein quote is really important. I'm not going to sign off of that, but I do want to reiterate that try not to become a person of success, but rather become a person of value. Because if you put that first, for me and for entrepreneurs in general, like that is the path to success for sure. But the quote that I want to leave people with is a very simple Chinese proverb. If you want to be, do. Like, it's really that simple. I wanted to be a podcaster, Allie. I had no experience, no skills. I was not going to be good for a significant amount of time, and I wasn't. But I had the podcast. That was the only way I was going to become a podcaster. I wanted to be a podcaster. I had to podcast. It was really that simple. And I really want people to understand it can be that simple. Like, just fill in the word podcast, whatever it is that you want to be.
Right.
If you want to be a writer, write. If you want to be a videographer, do videos. Like, that's what you need to do, is doing that thing. And it's going to take time and it's going to take effort. But being a podcaster has made me a much better speaker, presenter, webinar host, live TV,
Yeah.
co-host, you name it, fill in the blanks. Like everything has been from that doing
Your
over
confidence
and over again.
rose after doing it over
I mean,
and
did
over.
Tiger Woods sink the first putt that he ever took? Did Michael Jordan hit the first free throw he ever took? No, like it was thousands and thousands of hours of practice. You have to be willing to put in the work and just do that thing.
Right. It's all fantasy if it's in your head,
Mm-hmm.
right? Thinking and without launching and just putting it out there. Don't worry what it looks like, right? Just make it happen, and then you're going to tweak it, improve it, embellish on it all along the way.
Well
Which
said.
is what you have done. And so are there more
I see
answers?
some, 18, someone put 1,009,
It's
and some other.
all right. It was 1,000. So who was the person that said 1,000? Bernard. Lucky you. You get the Freedom Journal.
Make sure you give me their addresses.
And let's share the links again.
Sure.
We will put them up, but go ahead and share with everybody how they can hear your podcast and get the journal.
Absolutely. So if you guys are interested in podcasting at all, I'll reiterate my completely free course on podcasting is freepodcastcourse.com. Check it out. It's a killer course beginning to end. If you're interested in checking out just what we have going on in general, our headquarters, our home is EOFire.com. That's where all the magic happens, I like to say. And of course, if you're looking at learning a little bit more about the Freedom Journal, we have a killer website with a great video that talks about it and a lot more details at thefreedomjournal.com. And again, a portion of every sale, which is on this page, by the way, which is on the thefreedomjournal.com, is going to Pencils of Promise, and we will be building multiple schools together in 2016, which is so exciting.
Well, this has been awesome. So much value, right? That's why we're here, to give value and just do what John said, right? If you want to be, do. And if you want to create success, think of giving value first. And on that note, we will see you again next Wednesday, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern on Allie and You. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Later, guys.